This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, and now, Berkeley, I'm going to turn it over to you to
We can hear it.
introduce Mr. Latif.
You're going to introduce him now.
Okay. I cannot hear me or you guys. My computer has not been working, but here I'll start. My name is Berkeley Rich, and I have the privilege, the honor of introducing my good friend Hassan Latif. At 33 years of age, this was back in the early 90s, Hassan was arrested, tried, and sentenced to 29 years and 3 months in federal prison for armed robbery. And for the first 15 years of his prison sentence, he describes himself as indignant, angry, and uncooperative. But then at 15 years, he had an epiphany. He feels that he owed much of this to his wife, who was faithfully waiting for him. And he knew that she trusted and believed in him. And he decided that maybe it was time he began to trust and believe in himself. He began a transformation, taking education courses and began encouraging other inmates to change and to do likewise. And this became sort of a movement
we lost the picture of it.
where the prison authorities recognized what was going on. One of them took him aside and said, Hassan, you can be much more valuable outside than you can be inside. And so 3 years after that, after he had served 18 years, he was released. And soon after the release in 2012, he founded the Second Chance Center and to rehabilitate and transform ex-convicts in much the same way that he had rehabilitated and transformed himself during his last 3 years in prison. To date, the Second Chance Center has graduated over 9,000 ex-offenders, and the recidivism rate, that is the percent of ex-offenders who find themselves back in prison within a year or two of discharge, it's about as high as 50% in Colorado and ranges from 40% to as high as 70% throughout the United States. But the Second Chance Center's recidivism rate has never been above 10%. And over the last 2 years, it's hovered around 5%. And in his spare time, Hassan serves on the board of directors of the Colorado Criminal Justice Reform Coalition. And it's dedicated to turning our current system from a punitive, retributive system into a reformative, transformative experience. It's making progress, but has a way to go. And so, for my first question of Hassan, can you suggest how members of First Plymouth can support the Second Chance Center and the Colorado Coalition for Criminal Justice Reform, either simply by support or hopefully perhaps by participation in these efforts? Please welcome Hassan Latif.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Berkeley. Appreciate that introduction, and it's so good to see some of your faces this morning. I can't tell you how much I really just being able to support our folks. Can you hear me?
Up right there.
Oh, okay. Well, let me just First Plymouth Congregational Church, you guys are already on it. You know, the kind of things you've been doing, even during this COVID pandemic, has been very supportive of the kind of work we're trying to move forward here in Colorado. I'd just like to point out a couple of things. We have every other Friday, one of our staff, Jamie Ray, she actually presented on one Share the Plate morning there with you all a couple of years ago. She's our civic engagement lead, and currently she's a law student at BU Law. We're very proud of her. And she does a broadcast on Fridays at 6:30, where she discusses the legislation that's up for vote in the legislature this year that have to do with criminal justice reform. And so one of the things that the congregation can do to support our efforts is to, you know, tune in if you can. It's a half-hour show. It's very informative, talking about the bills that are coming up, and anything that you find a bill that you want to support. You know, contacting your representative of your senator, or even going online at the legislature and testifying for one bill or another is a very helpful thing. We've been involved with the passing of 11 pieces of legislation into law at Second Chance Center. One of the last being the return of voting rights for over 11,400 folks, formerly incarcerated folks who are on parole. Governor Polis actually came to Second Chance Center in June of 19 and signed these bills into law. We're very proud of that, and our folks' involvement in those kind of things. So that's a big way that you can support us. Likewise, COVID has really challenged everyone, and I don't need to tell you all about that. But we're hoping that with the onset of these vaccines that are becoming available, that before too long we'll be able to have more social type events. We really do owe the community a couple of parties. For those who don't know, last year we opened a 50-unit permanent supportive housing development in Aurora on Alameda Parkway, just east of Chambers, for folks who were previously homeless, chronically homeless, released from incarceration, those with disabilities, mental, physical, or emotional. We opened up on February 24th, so we just had our first year anniversary. And currently living at Path are 49 adults and 14 children. And happy to say that even with COVID and the challenges that it presented all of us, folks are really starting to get their lives together. We have so many folks that have connected, for instance, with primary health care for the very first time in many years, perhaps ever. We have a mobile dental clinic that comes there now twice a month, helping folks take care of their dental health, which likewise has been something that has gone to the wayside for so many of the folks at Path, but likewise at Second Chance Center for our clients in general. So you all have really been supporting the move for inequity and justice in all manners. And so continuing to do that is definitely a support for Second Chance Center. You guys can shoot me any kind of questions you want. I'm open to any and all of them. Hey, Trish.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is there an initiative at Second Chance that you are a wish that you have, or something that you're building toward, the next thing on your wish list that you're gathering funding for example? What's going on? What's the newest biggest thing on the wish list?
Okay, well, that's a great question. I'll tell you, we moved into a new building on the 15th of December, and it's odd because we were looking for larger space for some time. For those of you who have been aware of us for a while, this Second Chance Center started in my car in 2012, and we didn't get our first home till 2013, which we finally call our walk-in closet. But everything we've ever gotten, every place we've ever been, we've actually outgrown. So it seems like the more our capacity increases, the more need shows up. So we were always looking for something bigger last year. And the odd thing about it is we couldn't afford any leases. The kind of prices for space large enough for what we wanted to do was just way out of our range. But we wound up being able to actually buy a building. And so BOK, that bank, the Bank of Oklahoma, they actually found us worthy of that kind of support. And we were able to get a mortgage on this building for about what we were paying for our 2 facilities prior. And so
Where is it?
it's on 2nd and Potomac. It's 224 Potomac. It's a 2-story office building. We're still trying to get a little bit of it together. For those who may have seen the video this morning during the congregation, you see it's still kind of in the works, but we have a commercial kitchen here. For those who don't know, we typically prior to COVID fed about 60 people a day at Second Chance Center, and a lot of times it's the one home cooked TLC filled meal that folks get, you know, if they're living in a halfway house or they're struggling, you know, to make their ends meet, or those who are perhaps even living in shelters. And so we're glad to be able to get back to that now. We just started to open up the kitchen again this week, so people are coming back through that. So to answer your question, you know, we got this mortgage and we're running a campaign to actually pay for this building. It might be a couple of years in the movement, but I'm going to tell you, we closed on December the 15th. And the day before, I got a call from a lady named Rose Green from Colorado Health Foundation. And she said to me, Hassan, we understand you all are buying a building. Well, we want to be the first to sign on to support that campaign. And she told me that they were giving us a grant for $500,000 to go towards our building. And I literally didn't know what to say. And I said to her, Rose, I don't know what to say, so I'm going to have to call you back. And you know, the biggest thing for us right now is getting this place open fully and getting our folks to come through and stay safe. We had 7 staff members positive last year for COVID. So we made an effort to get moved up a little bit on the list, and we wound up being offered vaccinations with parole officers and frontline DOC staff. So we're really in better shape for 2021, and so we'll be running a campaign for those who want to support any of our programming or the getting this building up off our back. So basically, that's where we are right there, Trish. And we're going to be doing also some pop-up clinics for vaccination for the community as a whole. So we'll make sure that you guys know about that. Anybody at First Plymouth that wants to come through and get their vaccines here at Second Chance Center, we can do that, and it'll give you a chance to visit with us and see this building as well. So.
Hassan,